Check your 1873 dimes immediately. If you find one from the Carson City Mint that is missing two small arrows next to the date, you are looking at a $3,600,000 coin. This is not a theoretical value. This is the recorded price for the finest known specimen of the 1873 CC No Arrows Seated Liberty Dime. Most people looking through old coin jars are searching for silver, but the true wealth is found in the technical errors and low mintage figures that only a trained eye can spot. We are going to examine the 10 most valuable dimes in American history, focusing on the surgical diagnostics you need to identify them and the exact market values they command today. 1873 CC No Arrows Seated Liberty Dime. This is the king of all dimes. To identify this coin, you must first locate the mint mark on the reverse side. Look directly below the bow of the wreath. You are looking for a double C, representing the Carson City Mint. Once you have confirmed the CC mint mark, look at the date on the obverse. In 1873, the United States Mint increased the weight of the dime from 2.48 grams to 2.50 grams. To signify this change, they added small arrowheads to the left and right of the date. The no arrows variety is a transitional error. Every single dime struck in Carson City that year was supposed to have the arrows, but a small batch was produced using the old dies from the previous year. The tell is the absence of those arrows. If the area next to the 1873 date is smooth and empty, you have found a legendary rarity. The valuation for this coin is staggering. A specimen in mint state 65 condition is valued at $3,600,000. Even if you were to find a heavily circulated example in a grade of very good 8, the value would still exceed $500,000, because only one uncirculated example is confirmed to exist. This coin exists because the mint was required by law to melt down all old weight coins. A few survived the melting pot, likely because they were set aside as assay samples. 1894 S Barber Dime. The 1894 S Barber Dime is perhaps the most famous rare coin in the world. To identify it, look at the reverse of the coin. Below the wreath, you are searching for a single small letter S. The diagnostic focus must be on the date and the mint mark simultaneously. If the date is 1894 and the mint mark is S, you must examine the strike quality. Genuine 1894 S dimes were struck as proofs, meaning they have very sharp details and a mirror-like surface in the background. Look specifically at the vertical lines in the shield on the reverse and the leaves in the wreath. On a genuine specimen, these will be exceptionally crisp. The value for an 1894 S Barber dime in proof 66 condition is $2,160,000. In lower circulated grades, such as Good 4, the value is still approximately $150,000. Only 24 of these coins were ever struck. The story goes that the superintendent of the San Francisco Mint, John Daggett, struck them for his friends and gave 3 to his daughter. She reportedly spent one of them on a dish of ice cream, which is why collectors believe there may still be 1 or 2 heavily worn examples sitting in common coin jars or estate collections. 1870 S Seated Liberty Dime. This coin is a phantom of the San Francisco Mint. To find it, look for the date 1870 on the obverse and a small S mint mark on the reverse. The S is located just below the bow of the wreath. The diagnostic tell for this coin is the specific placement of the S. It is often slightly offset and struck with a smaller punch than later years. For many decades, numismatists weren't even sure this coin existed, because there is no official record of it in the Mint's ledgers. However, a single specimen was discovered and confirmed. The current valuation for an 1870 S dime in extremely fine 40 condition is $1,325,000. If a second specimen were to be found in average circulated condition, it would likely fetch between $600,000 and $800,000. This coin was likely created as a souvenir to be placed in the cornerstone of the new San Francisco Mint building. Because it was not intended for general circulation, it is one of the most elusive pieces of American silver ever produced. If you have an 1870 dime, do not assume it is common until you have checked the reverse for that letter S. 1975 No S Proof Roosevelt Dime. This is a coin that any person in the United States could potentially own without knowing it. Between 1968 and the present, the San Francisco Mint has produced proof sets for collectors. These coins have a distinct, shiny, mirror-like finish. To identify this rarity, look at a 1975 proof dime. Look directly above the date. A normal proof dime from 1975 will have a small letter S. If your shiny, proof-finished dime is missing that S, you have found an error of immense value. You must be very careful not to confuse this with a standard 1975 dime from Philadelphia. Standard dimes are dull and were made for circulation. The no S rarity only exists in the proof format. Look for the cameo effect, where the portrait of Roosevelt looks frosty and white, while the background looks like a black mirror. Only 2 of these coins are known to exist. The record price for a 1975 no S proof Roosevelt dime is $506,250. If you find one in an old purple-packaged 1975 proof set, do not open the plastic. The value remains highest when the coin is preserved in its original government packaging. 1796 Draped Bust Dime. As the first dime ever struck by the United States Mint, the 1796 Draped Bust is a historical treasure. The primary diagnostic for this coin is the reverse design, known as the small eagle. The eagle is perched on a cloud within a wreath. Look specifically at the number of stars on the obverse. There should be 15 stars, representing the states in the Union at the time of production. The tell for a high-value 1796 dime is the hair detail above Liberty's ear. In high grades, you should see individual strands of hair. If the hair is a flat clump, the coin is circulated. A specimen in Mint State 66 is valued at $881,250. Even a very worn version, graded as about good 3, is worth at least $2,500. This coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint using primitive screw presses. Because the technology was inconsistent, many of these coins have weak spots in the strike. Finding one with a full, bold strike is the key to reaching the 6-figure valuation. 1916 D Mercury Dime. If you have a jar of Mercury Dimes, which feature the winged head of Liberty, the 1916 D is the one you must search for. Look at the reverse side, at the very bottom near the rim, to the left of the large axe-like bundle called a fasces. You are looking for a tiny letter D. The diagnostic precision required here is high. Because this coin is so valuable, many fakes exist where a D has been glued onto a common 1916 Philadelphia dime. To verify a genuine 1916 D, look at the mint mark under magnification. The D should be slightly rotated clockwise, and the mint mark should have a specific blocky shape with a very small opening in the center. The valuation for a 1916 D Mercury dime in Mint State 67 with full bands is $207,000. Full bands means the horizontal ropes tied around the fasces on the reverse are completely split and distinct. If the coin is heavily worn and the D is barely visible, it is still worth approximately $1,000. Only 264,000 were minted, making it the scarcest Mercury dime by a wide margin. 1873 CC with arrows seeded Liberty Dime. While the no arrows version is the multi-million-dollar prize, the version with arrows is still a major financial find. Look at the 1873 date and find the two small arrowheads pointing away from the numbers. Then, look at the reverse for the CC mint mark. The diagnostic focus here is on the mint mark's condition. Carson City coins were often struck with rusted or worn dies. A specimen with a clear, bold CC and sharp arrows is highly prized. In Mint State 65, this coin is valued at $552,000. If you find a circulated example in extremely fine condition, the value is roughly $20,000. This coin is valuable because, despite a mintage of 12,400, most were lost to the silver melts of the late 19th century. The arrows were a government mandate to show the public that the coin contained more silver than previous years, marking a major shift in American fiscal policy. 1942-1 Overdate Mercury Dime. This is a dramatic double die error that you can see with the naked eye. Look at the date of your 1942 Mercury Dime. You will see a clear 1 stamped directly underneath the 2. This happened because a 1941 hub was accidentally used to begin the impression of the 1942 die. There are two varieties, one from Philadelphia, no mint mark, and one from Denver, D mint mark. The Denver version is more valuable. The technical tell for the Denver 1942 1D is the slant of the 1. It should be tilted slightly. On the Philadelphia version, the 1 is more vertical. A 1942 1D in Mint State 66 with full bands is worth $55,000. A 1942 1 from Philadelphia in the same grade is worth $35,000. Even a worn, pocket change version of this coin will sell for $600 to $800. This is one of the most popular errors in the entire hobby because it is so easy to identify once you know where to look. 1982 No P Roosevelt Dime. This is a modern treasure that often goes overlooked. Until 1979, dimes from Philadelphia had no mint mark. Starting in 1980, they were supposed to have a small letter P above the date. In 1982, a set of dies was sent to the Philadelphia Mint without the P mint mark being punched into them. To identify this coin, look for a 1982 dime with no letter above the date. However, there is a catch. There are two types, the strong strike and the weak strike. The strong strike is the one you want. Look at the torch on the reverse. If the flames and the lines on the torch are sharp and bold, you have the valuable version. A 1982 No P Roosevelt dime in Mint State 67 condition is worth approximately $2,500. While this is not as high as the 19th century rarities, these coins are frequently found in unsearched rolls and jars. They were discovered in large quantities in the Ohio area, but many thousands are likely still in circulation. 1968 No S Proof Roosevelt Dime. Similar to the 1975 rarity, the 1968 No S Proof occurred during the first year that the San Francisco Mint took over proof set production. Look at your 1968 proof dime. It must have the mirror finish. If there is no S above the date, you have found the error. The diagnostic tell is the sharpness of the strike. In 1968, the Philadelphia Mint was also making dimes with no mint mark, but those were for general circulation and looked dull. The 1968 No S error is only found in proof sets. A specimen in proof 69 condition is valued at $48,000. Because this was the first year of the S Mint proof transition, the error was caught quickly, but not before several thousand sets were shipped to the public. If you have a 1968 proof set sitting in a closet, check the dime immediately. The top find for any collector remains the 1873 CC No Arrows. It is the holy grail of dimes. However, for the average person checking their coins today, The 1916 D Mercury Dime and the 1982 No P Roosevelt Dime represent the most realistic opportunities for a major financial discovery. Do not clean your coins. Cleaning causes microscopic scratches that professional grading services like PCGS and NGC will identify immediately, resulting in a details grade that ruins the coin's value. If you find a coin you believe is on this list, place it in a soft plastic flip or a specialized coin holder. Check your change. Look for the mint marks. Examine the dates for doubling or overstrikes. The difference between a 10-cent piece and a $30,000 asset is often just a single, tiny letter. This is Coin Expert USA. Let's discover what's in your pocket.